It's a newly redesigned, not just the headlines now. We are going to have an in-depth review. Titi, you want to tell us about who we have?
Yes, we have Dr. Dayo Kayode joining us this morning. He's a socio-political technocrat, and he's contributed on TVC many times before. It's great to have you in the studio.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's my pleasure being with you this morning, especially when you are starting this your new program. I'm highly delighted to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Dayo.
Pleasure, sir.
All right, so there are quite a few major headlines, and if we take a quick look at the Punch this morning, it says here, 8-year scorecard. Workers lament hardship, score Buhari governors low on welfare. It goes forward to talk about the high cost of living and the minimum wage and so much more. I'm not sure if you've had conversations on this area before now.
Because it seems like there's a disconnect with what the workers and the people feel the government has done, and then on that scorecard, the government is rating themselves very high on that scorecard.
Yeah, you see, I've been having a series of conversations on this before now, and my own perspective had always been very different. How is, yes, government might not be doing as much as the workers are expected. But again, there's a kind of latitude within the NLC itself. Because right from the days of Pa Imodu and the people like this other man, they have been asking for minimum wage. And I've been asking NLC, can't you think further to ask for something else that will not always be removing the effect of even the minimum wage being given to you? And that is what I call sustainable take-home pay. When you're talking of sustainable take-home pay, any slight increase in anything will have to be effected there. You see, because of our time, I will not be able to talk much about the template of that sustainable take-home pay. Some other times I call it sustainable minimum living standard. Whenever you arrive at that, the template will have been there. If there is an increase in any tariff, then it must affect this. The percentage there must be reflected here. So everybody will know. And then the government will now be able to sit down properly for saying, oh, if we do this, it will affect this. This is going to be the effect. And then everybody will be a kind of a check to each other. So while I'm blaming the government, the workers, the NLC, they have the highest blame because they've never changed their narrative since the days of power mode.
True that. The agitation has always been the same. But let's move over. Let's check out Daily Independent. This is a bit connected because on Daily Independent here, we have it that incoming government, that is, of course, of the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, may consider phased fuel subsidy removal. We've heard talk about the timing being moved. And now we've also heard talk about a loan that was taken to help, with the effects of the subsidy removal and all of that. How is it feasible? Is it tenable at this particular point to remove the subsidy? And then how can it be having it or putting it in phases? How can that work?
The issue is, do we even need that first subsidy in the first instance? I remember in those days as a growing up young boy, when I go to the filling station with my father, he always tell them, fill up. And to fill up is then 404 polio, and later 504. Was it up to even 1 naira? And then you have differences. Do you want to buy super or ordinary? Do we still have it these days? Why were we having that? Our refineries were working. Not only refineries working now, the depot that the Nigerian government was controlling, those in Ore, Monsimi, Apapa here, in Nasarawa, all over the country, they were all there. But today, what do we have?
I wanted to touch on the fact that the term phased fuel subsidy removal was used in this particular headline.
Why I'm talking about this is because of that your statement, phased. You don't even need to face anything. All you need to do is let our refineries start working. Let all those depots Because when you also bring all those PMS to those depots, they also put their own charges there. By the time our refineries are listen, look at the way gas is being affected on this Russian war. Imagine if we have not been flaring our gas. Imagine how much money we'll have been making. Now, will we be having problems to pay workers? Will we be talking about subsidy? You and I will have been enjoying. Nigeria has no reason to be poor. And what I'm now saying, in essence, is this. The incoming administration should let it be in their forefront that, listen, all these refineries must work. The money you are spending on subsidy, go and do your calculation. They are enough to be, all the money we have been using on subsidy since all these days, put them together. There is no say that it's not supposed to be having at least 3 modular refineries. Then where we will be talking about subsidy.
Subsidy. Wonderful.
We wanted to touch on Nigerian News Direct's headline, no plan to phase out redesigned naira notes. According to CBN, page 3 has more on that on Nigerian News Direct. So the fact that there needs to be a plan and the first thing we see is no plan, I think
like,
there are a lot of questions there.
Why is it even in the discourse, in public discourse? Yes. Why should we be thinking of phasing the new ones out?
The question now is even this. With the humongous amount of money that was spent in making these new naira notes, when last have you seen one?
Well,
when last
very good question.
Do you understand? When last have you seen one? Are they there?
I actually saw one last night, but it was under a heap of...
The same thing here.
Yeah, true.
Do you understand? So the question is, the system or the concept of, I call it emephonics.
Interesting.
The concept of emephonics is what Nigerians have not yet understood. Perhaps when the new government comes in, if peradventure is going to have a new CBN governor or is going to retain Emefiole, it needs to be asked questions. What are the concepts or what are the frameworks upon these new notes? How much have you spent to redesign these new notes? Where are the new notes? And what economic importance are all these things put together? I think Emefiole needs to answer some questions. And then in facing it out, you now need to look at the pros and the cons. All
right, so let's just rush over. We have a short time. Our final headline, Daily Trust. Over 500 Nigerian students stranded at Sudan Egypt border. We know this has been in the news over the past week. That's talking about the Sudan crisis and all of that. And then we saw videos of our Nigerian students who were asking for aid. And then, of course, Director of NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri, of course, was updating us how much has he spent and all that. But you see, they've not yet gotten out of harm's way. There's still some at the borders, some at different places and all of that.
These are part of the thing we're talking about. You see, much as one don't like blaming government because of our patriotism to the nation, the government still needs to do more. When this war was about to start, it's not that the government is not aware. It's not that the government is not aware that their citizens will be in jeopardy there. So why haven't they think ahead, being proactive in how to bring all these people out? We see all other nations bringing out their nationals from Sudan. What are we doing? What are we saying? Despite all the amount of money that Abike Dabiri said they have been spent. Where is the result?
I wish we had more time, sir, but thank you so much for making this day with us. We will have you much more often on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate the contribution, and we also appreciate your contribution. We would love to know what you think, what your thoughts are on the headlines you've seen for this morning. Please use the comment section on YouTube, and indeed use our hashtag WakeUpNigeria on TVC.
Right, we'll take a time out. We'll be back for much more after this.